all began for me with Psalm 24, which says, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. For he founded it on the seas and established it on the waters. Who may ascend the mountain of the Lord? Who may stand in his holy place? The one who has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not trust in an idol or swear by a false god." For me, those words bring together holiness, being set apart for God, being part of God's kingdom, and the fact that God made the earth and everything in it. So we have to care for creation and all the people in it.
Spending time with our Creator God, with our Father, with our brother Jesus, is the first thing we should do in order to understand clearly what we actually need to do. Get to know your God and understand what it is your God requires of you, which is to love, to treat everybody with equality, and to fight for justice, which is what the environmental issue is, a justice issue.
So in our garden we made some small starts, and over the years we have started growing our own veg and fruit, and also looking at the environment for the wildlife. So we're looking particularly at birds and butterflies and other insects, so that we can actually create an environment where everything can flourish. And it's a challenge, but it's also a great adventure, and we love it, which of course leads on so much for me when I've got my hands in soil to look at the ways that God speaks to me through creation, through how important roots are. What does it mean to be pruned? What does it mean to look at the life cycle of an animal? How do the young care for their own? What needs supporting before it needs supporting? All these things, it just relates right back to the way that I find that I can worship God through nature.
God challenged me as to what I could do to live more lightly on the earth. And the first thing he suggested to me was that I stopped buying wrapping paper. So we ended up with these big sheets of lining paper that the children and I would colour in, stamp, paint, and wrap around people's birthday presents and Christmas presents. A year or two later, God said, go to charity shops for a year. It's an interesting way to engage in our shopping habits. We try to buy locally. We'll use Take No Wrap, where we will use as little plastic as possible. I have little bags that I take to Take No Wrap, and I fill them up with lentils and pasta and rice and oats and hot chocolate.
It's important that we do the simpler things like recycling and so on, but actually it's such a big issue on such a high level. Communicating with our MP is really, really important, and trying to get governments to actually do what needs to be done. So I have engaged in creative activities, creative craftivism as it's called. And for example, I made a felt canary to send to our MP Marcus Fish to encourage him to do something about the environmental issues. And I got a very personal reply back. And what you find if you engage in this kind of activity is that you do get good response from your MP. And if more of us did that sort of thing, wrote letters, created things to send to them to encourage them, they might begin to do what needs to be done on that much bigger level to actually turn this around. You know, we've had the IPCC recently warning that we are going to hit the 1.5 now, and it will be devastating for so many people on the planet. We might get away with it a bit. It might not be too bad for us, but what about those people who are going to starve and die, and who are currently starving and dying? This is a justice issue. This is something that we all need to take part in. Do those things like recycling, but think about engaging with your MP, doing something creative, and let's find a way forward with it.
We shouldn't beat ourselves up and think, okay, now I'm going to engage with all green things all at once, because if you try and do everything all at once, you just end up making yourself feel unhappy or despondent, because you can't do everything all at once. It's for each of us to make small changes day by day that can build on top of each other, so that you can start off doing one little thing and then end up doing more, because it becomes a lifestyle. But we can't change all at once. We can take it one step at a time.